You know, we often talk about who holds politicians accountable, but who holds lawyers accountable? And who helps shape the very laws they practice? Well, in Pakistan's biggest province, the answer is a really powerful body that most people have never heard of, the Punjab Bar Council. So today we're going to pull back the curtain on this parliament for lawyers and find out just how much influence it really has.
All right, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get the big picture of what this council actually is. Then we'll look at who makes up its members. After that, we'll get into its really interesting leadership structure, talk about its main jobs, and finally, we'll uncover its most significant power. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for that one.
Okay, so first things first, what exactly is the Punjab Bar Council?
To put it simply, it's the main governing body for every single lawyer in Punjab. And that phrase right there, deliberative assembly, that's key. It means they're a group that debates and makes decisions. Think of it like a parliament, but specifically for the legal world.
And this isn't some new group that just popped up. It was actually created by an act of parliament way back in 1973 and has been up and running since the first day of 1974. So we're talking about an organization with almost 50 years of history and serious legal authority behind it.
So if it's a parliament for lawyers, who are the people that actually get a seat at the table?
The entire council is made up of just 75 members. That's it, which is a pretty small number, especially when you consider just how many people they speak for.
And these members aren't just appointed by someone. They are elected by other lawyers from all across the province. They serve for a 5-year term, which means this whole thing is built on a democratic foundation.
Now, here's the number that really puts it all into perspective. Those 75 elected members, they represent more than 100,000 licensed lawyers. Just think about that ratio for a second. It really shows you how much influence each one of those 75 people actually has.
Okay, let's move on to leadership, because this is where things get really fascinating. It's a classic situation of the official title versus where the real power is. You see this really interesting split. On one side, you've got the vice chairman. This person is the official face of the council, kind of like the speaker. It's an elected position, but it's largely ceremonial. The real power, the actual executive authority, belongs to the chairman of the executive committee. This is the person who gets things done, who implements all the decisions, and who really runs the whole operation.
And to complete the picture, you have two other key figures. The Advocate General of Punjab is automatically the chairman, but it's a title that comes with the job and doesn't have a lot of practical power. And then you have the secretary, who's a full-time government employee that handles all the day-to-day paperwork and administration. So we know who they are, and we know who's in charge. But what does the Punjab Bar Council actually do? What's its mission? Well, their responsibilities are huge. They're kind of like a think tank, coming up with ideas for law reform. They're also like a union, protecting the rights of lawyers. And maybe most importantly, they act as the industry's police force, regulating how lawyers behave. They even decide which local bar associations are legit, all under the big umbrella of helping the justice system work better. But all of that leads us to what is, pretty clearly, the council's most important and powerful function, one that goes way beyond just the world of lawyers. And here's the real kicker. The council's power doesn't just stop with lawyers. It reaches right into the heart of the judiciary itself, because it has a direct say in who gets to be a judge in the province's highest courts. And I'm not just speculating here. This is spelled out in the official rules. The council gets to send one of its own members to sit on the Judicial Commission of Pakistan. And that person doesn't just give advice. They have an actual opinion and vote on who gets appointed as a judge to the Lahore High Court. So you can see this incredibly direct chain of influence. The Punjab Bar Council picks a representative, that person gets a seat and a vote on the Judicial Commission, and the commission's votes are what determine who becomes a high court judge. It's a straight line of power from the lawyer's governing body right to the bench. So let's just quickly recap the absolute must-knows. The Punjab Bar Council is a small, elected group of 75 lawyers that represents a massive community of over 100,000. The real power isn't with the figurehead leader. It's with the chairman of the executive committee. And most importantly, the council has a direct vote in picking high court judges. And all of this leaves us with a really important question to think about. In a system where the people arguing the cases also have a vote in choosing the people who hear those cases, who really holds the ultimate power?